Hey, it's Nay, and welcome to Hey Nay. So the topic for first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. Kudos to that. So the topic for this episode is breakups and dating. The first thing I want to talk about is if you get broken up, how should you handle that? If someone breaks up with you, I believe that if you understand what the reason was, I think it should always be a discussion in which you sort of speak to the person and try to figure out sort of what was the cause, why did they decide to do that. Usually there is some sort of explanation because it doesn't usually come out of the blue. If it does come out of the blue, it has nothing to do with you. So if they're able to actually communicate with you about it, then that means that there is something going on there, that like maybe there was a disconnect. Maybe you sort of outgrowing each other. There's too many differences. You guys are fighting too much. Things like that. Maybe money's a thing. It's a whole bunch of things that might go into play. But having that conversation. And usually the one issue that a lot of people who get broken up with is that they feel like they don't have control. So you might be a little bit more emotional. You might feel a little different and weird. You might even have very antagonistic and a demoralizing view towards your significant other who just broke up with you. And that's all understandable. We act in our emotions. Our reactions are not always we're not always able to manage them. So if there's someone that you really cared about and they break up with you, it might be very devastating. It might be very impactful. So that is normal. That is a normal response. But I do believe that we should try our best to try to handle it like as adults. We should try to handle, like, we shouldn't, like, go on social media and like go off on that person or anything like that. Like, we should try. Now, is the difference, like, if there's something like with cheating or something, that's a different story. But if it's like, just like outgrowing each other, or just differences, too many differences or arguments was happening, then I don't think you should like completely like discredit the person, like completely like destroy the character. But I do think that if you do need someone to talk to, you should talk to a friend. You should reach out to a friend or your family. I know some people speak to their family. Whatever support system that you have, you should rely on that. Um, but I think that's kind of how you handle it. Now, if you're the breakupper, if you're the one breaking up with the person, usually you've had a lot of time to think about this. You've already contemplated the idea beforehand, um, and you probably planned out how exactly you were going to do it. And you always would try to do it in the best way possible. Now, when you're doing that too, you have to also think of how they're going to respond. You need to sort of be prepared for that, because if you know that the person that you're with is usually like emotional, or usually gets bothered by like the little things, then you know that this is going to be very, very huge. um, but sort of how you just you have to try to tailor it towards that individual. And you should know, if you were in a relationship with that person, you should know how to sort of give them bad news, essentially. um, but this is what I always recommend to do, is that you just like break it down. Don't do like we need to talk thing, because I think that scares people. But just like like let's meet up for lunch or something, or let's meet up for and you, like, sort of talk it over and explain why you feel the need to break up with that person. And have them say, and I always say, be very receptive. If they have any questions, you should be able to answer them. So like, they're like, why, or was that argument we had, was that really that big of a deal? And like, you know what, yeah, it was for me. I just felt like we were really on a different page and things like that. That's all all normal. Um, but just always try to be very considerate as the breakupper. Like, you should always try to um, be considerate and open minded, and you let them deal with it. I know a lot of people who are the breakuppers, and they try to like break up amicably. would try to also try to be friends with that individual. And I'm not against that. Actually, I believe that if you really care for someone, you should be striving to be friends again. But I would say always put it in the person you just broke up with's court. Like, let them decide whether or not you guys are friends or not. Um, and I know some couples go through this like on a regular occasion. Some couples may be like an on and off relationship, and they kind of go through this. But if it's like this is it, you need to be very clear and very understanding and be very, very receptive. You need to be open. If you're the breakupper, you need to, if they have a question, you answer it. If they text you, you respond. Like you don't want someone that you at least used to care about to sort of have like, self turmoil. You don't want that. You don't want a person to sort of beat themselves up. You want to explain it to them. You want to break it down. Okay. This other thing I wanted to talk about was this study. So Karen Perelou and David M. Buss, and I love David M. Buss, has this. They did a research topic. It came out in 2008. It's called Breaking Up Romantic Relationships, Cost, Experience, and Coping Strategies Deployed. I'm just going to read the abstract. So this study examined differences between men and women and between individuals experiencing rejection, rejectees, and individuals doing the rejecting, rejectors, in romantic relationship breakups. They tested 14 evolution-based predictions about romantic breakups using data from 193 participants. 10 received support. Women more than men, for example, experience cause sequelae, which is loss of a mate's physical protection or harmful post-breakup stalking by the ex-partner. Both men and women who were rejected compared with those who did the rejecting experienced more depression, loss of self-esteem, and rumination. And that's why I'm saying you should be very receptive to those individuals. If you're the breakupper, you need to be responding to anything that they say, any question that they have, because you don't want them to sort of get into that. Like, how would you feel about someone getting into a deep depression because you're the one who broke up with them? I think that's too far. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. So you need to always be like very, open and communicative with them. You don't want them to like feel like their world is over. You want to be very clear and just be open. They said that rejectors, on the other hand, experience the reputational cost of being perceived by others as cruel. Exploratory data analysis revealed that women more than men reported experiencing negative emotions after breakup, particularly feeling sad, confused, and scared. And I think that's interesting. I actually did like a lit review, and I think it depends on the breakup, because I have found that men actually handle divorce a lot worse compared to women. They even go as far as to have suicidal thoughts sometimes. So I guess it depends on the severity of the breakup. Is this like a dating breakup and you guys have been just for a few months, or you guys have been for a few years, or just a breakup from an engagement, or is this a breakup from a marriage? I think there are different tiers here, and I do think that the response is different. So based on this study, they're saying that women, and I don't think they're talking about like marriage. I don't think they're talking about divorce at all. I think they're talking about casual relationships. So both sexes use an array of strategies to cope with the breakup, ranging from high base rate strategies such as discussing the breakup with friends to low base rate strategies such as threatening suicide. Again, like I mentioned with the suicide. But like, again, I think you should talk to your friends. Talk to the people who are in your vicinity, in your circle, express them, because venting does help. Like, telling how it is and how you feel does help you. And your friends and your support system are usually very, very helpful. They will sort of appease you. They will, reassure you, and make you feel comfortable, make you feel better again, because you don't want to sort of feel bad. You don't want to feel negative. You want to always try to be striving for positivity. So having those friends and disclosing that information sort of will be very, very helpful. This is the largest sex difference in coping strategies centered on the act of shopping used by women rejectors as well as women rejectees. Likely a strategy of appearance enhancement prior to re-entering the mating market. Discussions focused on the adaptive significance of sex differences and individual differences based on rejection status. So that's another thing too. So people usually sort of change their look. Some people might just cut their hair. Some people, just completely change their style of clothing. And, those are all normal things because sometimes you want to sort of like restart or reboot. You want to sort of start anew and you don't want to sort of have that baggage from that past relationship. So, and that's great. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not changing yourself because of someone else. But if you want to make a change for yourself because of yourself, then that's fine. And that's just how I see it. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. But I did want to make an announcement. So this is the 90th episode. Yes, it has been 90 episodes, which means that it's been 90 weeks since I've been doing this. But I hope you do not get mad or anything, but I will be ending Hey Nay soon. I will be ending it with the 100th episode. I'm just trying to, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do this forever. And so I thought that would be a great time to end it. And I'm going to give you guys updates along the way. The Hey Nay Facebook page obviously will still be continuing on because I do post like articles and research and things like that. That will still continue on. And I do have plans of other things. So it's not like you're going to completely get like no more nay or anything. I'm working on some things that should happen after the 100th episode. And I'll keep you guys in a loop about that. So thank you guys for watching with me, watching this and, supporting me. I really do appreciate it. You guys have been with me for this long. I can't believe it's been 90 episodes. So it's great. I appreciate it. And I'll keep you guys in the loop. I promise. I promise I'll keep you in the loop. So thanks again. Great. Like, subscribe, love, and remember to always start your day off with a hey. Goodbye.